Well, when it's time to line up Packers coaching candidates, here's a name not to put on the list. A Twitter user asked, hey, Tony Dungy, you want to come coach the Packers? ED19, a.k.a. Eric Dungy, says no interest per anonymous source. That's Coach Dungy's son. Coach Dungy chimes in, you must have a pretty good source because you're dead on. So, no Tony Dungy coaching the Green Bay Packers. But who will coach the Packers? We decided to do a draft of the ideal candidates to become the next coach of the Packers, and more specifically, the next coach of Aaron Rodgers. Peter King, you get the honors, heads or tails?
I'm going to take heads, Mike.
I wish Chris Sims was so succinct in his selection of a coin, and it's heads. Peter gets the first choice. Peter, you're up.
I mean, I hate to take the 800-pound gorilla, even though he probably weighs 206 pounds soaking wet, but I'll take Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. I think he's going to get a lot of action this offseason, and I think it could come down to, just a total guess, a fight between Cleveland and Green Bay to be able to take him away from the New England Patriots with absolutely unequivocally no guarantee that he will go. He loves coaching Tom Brady. He loves working with Bill Belichick. He loves being an employee of Robert Kraft. But if you give me my first choice, I'll take Josh McDaniels.
All right, I'm going to press pause on the draft process because I have to put this question to you, Peter. Between the Packers and the Browns, if you're Josh McDaniels or anyone, which job is more attractive to you?
I'd probably right now take Cleveland. They have a better base of talent, and they have a quarterback who's 11 years younger, who, by the way, Josh McDaniels loves.
And we put that question out there yesterday. The final results, 8,970 votes, 52% said Browns, 48% said Packers. And just think of how laughable that proposition would have been a year ago, that someone would view the Browns as a better coaching destination than the Green Bay Packers. All right, first pick for me, and I've been on the record with this one, and I hope the Green Bay Packers do it. At a minimum for entertainment value. If it doesn't work, it will be fun to watch. If it works, it will be another street in Green Bay named after a coach, and it will be Bruce Arians Boulevard if it comes to that, because he's the guy I think can get through to Aaron Rodgers at a time when that's what you need. He shows up with a bottle of scotch, he drinks him under the table, and he says, all right, baby, let's get to work. And I think Arians will know exactly what to say, how to say it, when to say it, how to coach him up. He's got the reputation. He's got the experience with franchise quarterbacks. This may be the guy that Aaron Rodgers would be crying out for, whether he realizes it or not. And I think that's the first guy they should call. He said he only wants the Browns job. That's the only job that was open, and it doesn't look like the Browns want him. I think the Packers should want him, and the Packers should go get him.
My second-round pick is going to be David Shaw, the head coach at Stanford. A couple of years ago, I had a long conversation with David Shaw. He said, hey, it's not me you got to convince to leave Palo Alto. It's my wife. We have the ideal life. I've got a better job than anybody has in the NFL right now. I love Stanford. Well, no one's ever knocked on David Shaw's door and said, how would you like to be the next coach of the Green Bay Packers? And they could work out this deal, Mike. Okay, we realize your family loves Palo Alto, but we're going to help you because you can keep your house in Palo Alto and your family can live there 6 months a year and you can go visit them. But we want you to be the coach of the Green Bay Packers. I think that's a hard choice and a hard team to turn down if I'm David Shaw.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, these guys who have been in the mix and reluctant, and you never know how long the window's going to be open. If the window's open in Green Bay, hard to not go through it. And you know, usually when we line up the various categories of candidates for a coaching opening, it is college coach, fired former NFL head coach, assistant coach, coordinator who is rising, who has never coached before. Rarely do we get into this category of current NFL head coach with another team. We saw it with John Gruden 16 years ago. We almost saw it with Jim Harbaugh to the Browns 5 years ago. And I think one of these vacancies with a franchise quarterback is at least going to explore the possibility of luring a coach who currently is working for another team to their city. So my second-round pick, a guy that I think could be in play in Cleveland. He could be in play in Dallas if they don't make the playoffs, and maybe maybe he'll be in play in Green Bay. Peter, you mentioned him earlier when we talked about the lack of imagination in Green Bay. They don't have a Sean Payton. Maybe they should have a Sean Payton. Maybe the Packers should call the Saints and say, what would it take by way of compensation to give us the ability to talk to Sean Payton about possibly coming to Green Bay and becoming the first coach to win Super Bowls with two separate teams and working with Aaron Rodgers for the last 5 years of his career. That would be my choice. You're going to have to give up some draft picks and maybe some cash to get him, but it would be money well spent to get a guy who could come in and quickly turn around the Packers. One thing became clear yesterday. They have a sense of urgency to turn this around now, and I think Payton could bring in his system and make it work with whoever they have, coach up whatever receivers they have, undrafted guys, drafted guys, street free agents, whoever, and turn that team around quickly.
You know what's the most interesting thing about that, Mike? I'll tell you. In 2006, Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy were interviewed for the head coaching job with the Green Bay Packers. Ted Thompson decided to pick Mike McCarthy. Sean Payton was heartbroken. He desperately wanted to finish off Brett Favre's career and to start working with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And the reason why your theory is not stupid is because a couple of years ago, I believe if the Rams had gone hard after Sean Payton and offered a good draft choice for him, like even a 2 to the Saints, I think they could have made a deal. But the Rams were in love with Sean McVay. They weren't really in love with Sean Payton. They were having all these 7 and 9 years. They didn't really know what he was anymore, so they didn't go after it. But what would happen if the Green Bay Packers did offer a first-round pick to the Saints? Would Sean Payton be interested, number one? And would the Saints be interested? I don't know the answer to either one of those questions, but I would be fascinated by this because the match of Sean Payton and Aaron Rodgers could be magical in Green Bay. So I have no idea. You saying that just hit me out of the blue, but that's what I think. Do we have one more pick or no?
Yes.
Okay. My next pick is going to be Zach Taylor, who's obviously on Sean McVay's staff with the Los Angeles Rams. And I choose him for a very specific reason. That the one thing you hear when you talk to people around the league, the one thing they wonder is, who do you think the next Sean Payton is? Well, why don't you take the guy who's been working under Sean Payton, who has been in on these brainstorming imaginative sessions? Zach Taylor, who's been coaching Jared Goff out with the Rams. I would give him an interview. And I don't know that he's ready right now, Mike. But I remember what Dan Rooney once said to me about Mike Tomlin. When I asked him, geez, you took Mike Tomlin when he was 34 years old, probably a year or two too early. And he goes, well, by the time we're ready to make our next coaching change, whenever that would be, 10 or 15 years down the road, Mike Tomlin is going to be long, long gone. So if you like the guy, you better get him now. So if you interview Zach Taylor and you like him and you put a good support system around him, you go with Zach Taylor.
I like that idea, and I like that fact that everybody's going to be looking for the next Sean McVay, and that's going to continue until somebody finds someone that they think is the next Sean McVay and he's a disaster. Then they're going to be like, maybe we should quit searching so desperately for the next Sean McVay. There'll be some other trend that they follow, and maybe that other trend will continue this idea of tracking down current head coaches with other NFL teams. If you thought the last one wasn't stupid, Peter, you may think this one is stupid, but hear me out. Hear me out. Bring Andy Reid home to end his career with the Green Bay Packers. He started his NFL coaching career in 1992 on Mike Holmgren's staff. He was there through 98 when he surprisingly became the coach of the Eagles. You get where you can this year in Kansas City. Eric Bieniemy takes over as the head coach of the Chiefs next year, and the Chiefs pick up that first-round pick if the Saints don't want it, and Andy Reid finishes his coaching career just as Aaron Rodgers finishes his playing career, and then they go fresh start, new coach, new quarterback whenever those two are done.
First of all, that's not a Clark Hunt thing. I just don't see any way that would happen. And I don't think Andy Reid wants to leave Patrick Mahomes. He's died and gone to heaven working with Mahomes. And let's say he's got 5 more years as a coach. I think he's going to spend all 5 with Patrick Mahomes. But it's interesting. Are we done or do we have another one?
I think we're done unless you want to throw another one out there. Go ahead, throw another one out there.
The only one I want to throw out is John DeFilippo, because even though he's been tarnished this year as a coach with the Minnesota Vikings, the one thing I know about John DeFilippo after the job he did in Philadelphia, especially with young Carson Wentz, he has immense respect inside the Eagles building as a guy who was great, not good, but great in helping Carson Wentz kickstart his career on the way from North Dakota State to the NFL. So I still think that he's a fascinating prospect, even though his star has been dim this year in Minnesota.
All right, one more for me. And, I would have said Tony Dungy, but he's made it clear he's not interested, although I think he would be a great influence
say him anyway.
on Aaron
It'll be
Rodgers.
fun.
Well, it's either that or Jeff Tedford. And you know what? Jeff Tedford, the ship has sailed on him. He was Aaron Rodgers' college coach. I'll throw Tony Dungy in there, even though he said no. I remember last year we were joking around.
Make him come out with a big denial today, Mike.
Well, because here's why. When we saw that John Gruden was getting $10 million a year for 10 years, and I know there's a lot of fluff in there, that at least got Tony to say, if somebody would offer me that, maybe I would have to change my mind. So, hey, it's a publicly traded company. They got plenty of money. They can pay whatever they want. There's no profits going into an owner's pocket. If you want to pay Dungy $10, $12 million a year, you can offer it to him and see if he changes his mind.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.